You looked at your phone today. You saw the numbers 1111 flashing on the screen and you smiled. You walked down the street, you found a shiny penny on the sidewalk, and you immediately thought to yourself that the universe was sending you a magical wink. You saw a specific bird or a repeating number sequence on a license plate, and you felt a sudden rush of comforting hope, genuinely believing that these tiny, random occurrences were undeniable proof that your massive financial manifestation is finally right around the corner. You are living in a deeply dangerous, paralyzing, and completely childish illusion. The universe is not sending you text messages. The universe is not a giant, friendly guardian angel sitting in the clouds, trying to soothe your anxiety by leaving little breadcrumbs on the ground for you to find. Today, using the uncompromising, absolute laws of reality creation as taught by Neville Goddard, I'm going to prove to you exactly why asking for signs is the ultimate psychological proof that you are fundamentally broke. I'm going to show you why begging the universe for a wink or a repeating number is not a high-vibe spiritual practice, but rather a desperate, undeniable confession of your own poverty. If you are finally exhausted from living on cosmic crumbs and you are ready to stop begging the outside world for validation so you can assume the throne of your financial reality today, take a brief moment to subscribe to this channel right now. The era of desperately looking for hidden messages ends today, and your era of absolute arrogant dominion begins right now. Let us perform a complete psychological autopsy on the daily routine of the modern spiritual seeker. I want you to look very closely at the behavior of the manifestation community on the internet. Millions of people wake up every single morning, and the very first thing they do is consult an external oracle. They pull tarot cards to see if today is the day they will get rich. They check their astrological horoscopes to see if the planets are aligned for financial abundance. They walk out of their front door and they aggressively scan their physical environment, desperately searching for a butterfly, a feather, or a repeating number to give them permission to feel good about their future. They have turned the magnificent infinite power of the human imagination into a pathetic game of hide and seek with the physical world. I want you to deeply analyze the energetic frequency of a person who spends their entire day looking for signs. What is the fundamental unspoken assumption that this person is projecting into the quantum field? When you desperately search for a sign that your money is coming, you are screaming to the universe that you currently do not have the money. You are declaring with absolute certainty that the wealth you desire is completely separated from you. You are confirming that the wealth exists somewhere in the distant future, and you are trapped here in the miserable present, hoping that the universe will send you a postcard from that future destination. This violates the supreme foundational law of reality creation. The fundamental name of the creator within you is I am. It is not I will be. It is not I might be if the universe sends me a sign. The law of assumption demands absolute, undeniable unity with your desire in the present tense. You cannot manifest what you want. You can only manifest what you are. And the most glaring, obvious proof that you have not actually become the wealthy version of yourself is the fact that you are still looking for evidence of your wealth in the outside world. I want you to imagine a multi-billionaire. Imagine a man or a woman who has hundreds of millions of dollars sitting safely in their investment accounts. When this billionaire wakes up in the morning, do they look up at the sky and say, "Please, universe, show me a feather today so I know that I am still rich"? Do they look at their expensive watch, wait for the time to strike exactly 11:11, and then sigh with relief, believing that their money is not going to suddenly disappear? The very idea is completely comical. It is absurd. A true billionaire is profoundly, beautifully apathetic to signs. They do not need a sign from the universe to confirm their wealth because they already possess the wealth. Their ownership is an absolute, boring, unquestionable fact of their existence. The billionaire does not seek validation from the outside world because the billionaire knows that they are the source of the validation. The very act of asking for a sign proves you are broke because it violently forces you into the exact psychological posture of a beggar. A beggar sits on the street, looks at the people walking by, and tries to read their facial expressions to see if they are going to drop a coin in the cup. The beggar is entirely dependent on the mood, the generosity, and the signals of the outside world. By looking for angel numbers and synchronicities, you have turned the universe into a giant, mysterious stranger. and you have turned yourself into a spiritual beggar hoping for a handout. You have completely stripped yourself of your divine authority as the operant power of your reality. You have forgotten that the three-dimensional world has absolutely no power to create anything. The physical world is completely dead. It is a sterile, delayed, mechanical mirror. It has no brain, no intentions, and no ability to send you a message. Neville Goddard was incredibly strict and uncompromising about this specific dynamic. He gave us a golden rule that completely destroys the modern obsession with angel numbers. Neville stated clearly, "Signs follow, they do not precede." I want you to burn this sentence into your subconscious mind. Signs follow, they do not precede. What does the word precede actually mean? It means to come before. Neville is telling you that a true sign will never ever come before your manifestation. If you are looking for something to happen in the physical world before your wealth arrives, to give you the confidence that your wealth is real, you are completely violating the law of assumption. The physical world cannot confirm your manifestation until after you have already completely accepted it as a fact in your own imagination. The sign is not the engine that pulls the train. The sign is the smoke left behind after the train has already passed by. The sign is the track in the mud left by the tire of the car. You do not look at a tire track in the mud and say, "Wow, this track is a promise that a car is going to come here in the future." You look at the tire track and you know with absolute certainty that the car has already been here. The event is already finished. When you truly assume the state of the wish fulfilled, when you completely saturated your subconscious mind with the undeniable identity of massive wealth, you will inevitably begin to see reflections of that wealth in your physical world. You might see more luxury cars on the road. You might hear people talking about large sums of money. You might see the numbers on the clock aligning. But the master of manifestation reacts to these occurrences in a completely different way than the desperate beginner. When the beginner sees the luxury car, they get incredibly excited, their heart races, and they say, "Thank you, universe. This is a sign that my money is finally coming." The beginner falls right back into the trap of the future tense. They push the manifestation away by declaring that it is still on its way. But when the master sees the exact same luxury car, the master does not get excited. The master does not feel a rush of euphoric hope. The master looks at the car with a cold, arrogant smirk. The master simply nods their head in quiet recognition and says, "Of course there is a luxury car in my reality. I am the wealthy creator. The outside world is simply forced to reflect the massive wealth that I already possess inside my own mind." The master recognizes the sign not as a promise of the future, but as a dead, boring echo of what has already been accomplished in the present. We must deeply examine the extreme danger of the phrase, "It is coming." The spiritual community has taught you to use this phrase as a comforting blanket whenever you feel anxious. You look at your empty bank account, you feel the panic rising in your chest, and you immediately try to soothe yourself by saying, "It is okay, the universe is working on it, my millions are coming." You see a repeating number on a license plate and you whisper, "It is coming." This is a fatal, catastrophic error in quantum grammar. The universe is a literal, mechanical machine that perfectly executes your instructions based on your dominant state of consciousness. When you constantly declare that your wealth is coming, the universe obeys you flawlessly. It takes your massive wealth and it places it in a state of eternal transit. It puts your money on a delivery truck that drives around your neighborhood forever, but never actually stops at your house. You have literally commanded the universe to keep the money away from you by defining its permanent location as the future. And because tomorrow never actually arrives, because the only time that truly exists in the universe is right now, your money remains permanently trapped in a timeline that you can never touch. You must violently drag your desire out of the future and force it into the brutal reality of the present tense. You must stop waiting for the delivery truck. You must realize that the package is already sitting inside your house, resting on your table. But you are so busy staring out the window, looking down the street for a sign of the truck, that you refuse to turn around and enjoy the wealth that is already yours. This is the profound tragedy of the sign seeker. You are starving to death in a kitchen filled with food, simply because you are waiting for the universe to send you a written invitation to eat. You do not need an invitation. You own the house. You own the kitchen. You own the food. You simply need to assume the authority to consume it. To break free from this pathetic cycle of waiting and seeking, You must fundamentally change your relationship with the physical mirror of the three-dimensional world. Imagine that you have decided to wear a beautiful, expensive crown on your head. You place the crown on your head in your imagination. You feel its weight. You feel the cold gold against your skin. You know you are wearing it. But then you walk over to a physical mirror in your room, and you stare at the glass. You look at your reflection, and because the physical world is delayed, the reflection in the mirror is not wearing the crown yet. The reflection still looks like the old, broke version of you. What do? The desperate beginner looks at the mirror, sees no crown, and immediately starts crying. They take the imaginary crown off their head, and they say, "This manifestation stuff does not work. The mirror is telling me I am poor. I need to go look for a sign that I will get a crown one day." They surrender their divine power to a piece of glass. But you are no longer a beginner. You are stepping into the identity of the undisputed monarch of your reality. The monarch does not ask the mirror for permission. The monarch does not look at the mirror to check if they are wealthy. The monarch stands in front of the delayed mirror, looks directly into the eyes of the old reflection, and refuses to flinch. The monarch says to the mirror, "I do not care what you are showing me right now. I do not care about your delays. I am wearing the crown. I am the ultimate authority in this universe, and you have absolutely no choice but to bend, break, and rearrange your atoms to reflect my command." The monarch holds the state of the wish fulfilled with such aggressive, terrifying certainty that the physical mirror shatters under the pressure and is forced to project the crown into the visible world. You must look at your current bank account with that exact same arrogant defiance. You must stop looking for signs that the mirror is going to change, and you must start acting with the absolute certainty that the mirror has already been forced to obey you. The desire to look for signs is born from a deep, hidden well of doubt. If you are entirely honest with yourself, the only reason you look for 11:11 on your clock is because you are secretly terrified that your manifestation is not real. You are using the numbers on a digital screen to temporarily numb the agonizing pain of your own disbelief. You are putting a tiny spiritual band-aid on a massive bleeding wound of financial terror. But this band-aid is actually a poison. Every time you accept the temporary comfort of a sign, you are reinforcing the underlying disease of doubt. You are telling your subconscious mind that you need external proof to believe in your own internal power. You are feeding the monster of separation. If you truly want to obliterate this doubt and claim the millions of dollars that already belong to you in the quantum field, you must be willing to walk through the fire of complete sensory deprivation. You must be willing to close your eyes to the physical world, ignore the empty bank account, completely ignore the numbers on the clock, and stubbornly, blindly trust the reality of your own imagination. You must become completely immune to the seduction of signs, and you must learn to rest in the terrifying, beautiful silence of the finished creation. We must now violently tear down the curtain and expose the mechanical, biological truth behind why you are constantly seeing these so-called signs in your daily life. The spiritual community has completely hijacked a basic, fundamental function of human biology and repackaged it as a mystical, divine intervention. They have sold you a lie that keeps you trapped in a perpetual state of delusion. To permanently cure your addiction to looking for signs, you must understand the exact neuroscience of what is happening inside your physical brain when you suddenly start seeing repeating numbers, specific animals, or luxury cars on the street. Inside the stem of your brain, there is a bundle of nerves called the reticular activating system. This system is the ultimate biological filter for your physical reality. Every single second of your life, your brain is being bombarded by millions of bits of information from your physical environment. If your conscious mind had to process every single color, every single sound, and every single object around you, your brain would instantly overheat and you would collapse. To keep you sane, your reticular activating system filters out 99% of this incoming data, and it only allows information that you have deemed important to pass through to your conscious awareness. I want you to think about a time when you decided to buy a specific type of car. You researched the car, you thought about the color, and you imagined yourself driving it. Suddenly, the very next day, you walked outside and you started seeing that exact same car everywhere you went. You saw it on the highway, you saw it parked at the grocery store, and you saw it in television commercials. The universe did not suddenly manufacture thousands of those cars and drop them into your reality overnight just to send you a message. Those cars were always there. They were driving past you every single day for years, but because you had never assigned any importance to them, your reticular activating system completely filtered them out of your conscious vision. They were invisible to you, but the moment you placed your focused attention on that specific car, you programmed your internal biological filter to classify that car as highly important information. Your brain simply stopped hiding the cars from you. This is exactly what happens when you desperately ask the universe for a sign and suddenly see 1111 or a coin on the sidewalk. You have been brainwashed to believe this is a magical conversation with the cosmos, but asking for these signs is just your biological panic looking for an exit. It is the ultimate physical proof that your nervous system secretly believes you are completely broke. You have assigned massive emotional importance to them, therefore your biological filter goes to work. Your brain subconsciously calculates the exact time. It nudges your intuition, and it forces you to look at your phone at precisely 11 minutes past 11. Your brain scans the dirty sidewalk, ignores the trash, ignores the cracks in the cement, and forces your eyes to lock onto a shiny penny. You are not experiencing a divine, mystical communication from the cosmos. You are simply experiencing the flawless, mechanical execution of your own biological filtering system. You are entirely responsible for the signs you are seeing. You are the projector, the filter, and the observer. The universe is completely silent. It is just you, playing a psychological trick on your own mind and pretending that a higher power is involved. But why do you love this trick so much? Why is the spiritual community so deeply obsessed with angel numbers and external validation? We must expose the most dangerous, paralyzing drug in the entire human experience. We must expose your biological addiction to the emotion of hope. When you are living in a state of financial lack, your nervous system is in a constant, agonizing state of survival. You are terrified of the future. You do not know how you are going to pay your bills. The pressure of this physical reality is crushing you. Your brain is desperately, frantically searching for any possible relief from this agonizing stress. When you look at your phone and see a repeating number, and you remember the lie that this number means money is coming, your brain instantly releases a massive, euphoric surge of dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical of reward and anticipation. For a brief, shining moment, the terror disappears. You feel a warm rush of comfort. You feel safe. You feel the intoxicating, beautiful emotion of hope. But hope is the absolute enemy of the law of assumption. Hope is a beggar's emotion. Hope is a disease that actively destroys your ability to manifest wealth. I want you to look at the physical objects around you right now. If you are holding a pen in your hand, you do not hope that you have a pen. You do not look for signs that the pen is coming to you. You simply possess the pen. Ownership is completely devoid of hope. Ownership is a cold, boring, unemotional fact. When you become addicted to the dopamine rush of seeing signs, you are training your brain to become addicted to the hope of wealth rather than the actual possession of wealth. You become like a gambler sitting at a slot machine in a casino. The gambler pulls the lever, sees two matching symbols, and gets a massive hit of dopamine because they almost won. The near miss keeps them pulling the lever until they are completely bankrupt. You are pulling the spiritual lever every time you look for a sign. You get the dopamine hit of a near miss, you feel the fake comfort of hope, and you remain entirely trapped in your physical poverty. The universe sees that you are completely satisfied with the chemical illusion of hope, and therefore, it never actually delivers the physical money. You have traded your millions of dollars for a cheap, temporary biological high. The reason you cannot stop scanning your three-dimensional reality for validation is because your physical body is trapped in a state of violent biological panic. You are looking for signs of money in the outside world because your internal world feels like a dangerous, terrifying war zone. Your nervous system is constantly sounding the alarm of poverty, and you are trying to use angel numbers as a fire extinguisher. It will never work. You cannot outthink a nervous system that is fighting for its life. You cannot assume the calm, arrogant state of the wish fulfilled while your physical heart is pounding with financial terror. To permanently destroy your need for external signs, you must brutally shut down the biological panic inside your physical vessel. You must manually turn off the survival alarm so that your consciousness can finally rest in the silence of true ownership. Because this physical barrier is the exact trap that destroys 99% of all manifestation attempts, I have provided the exact mechanical solution for you. I want you to pause and look directly below this video in the pinned comment section. I have left a vital, life-saving physical protocol there for you. It is entirely designed to regulate your dysregulated nervous system and instantly flush the terrifying survival hormones out of your bloodstream. It bypasses your addicted mind and forces your physical cells into a state of absolute, undeniable safety. Go to the pinned comment and use this protocol to turn off your biological radar. When your body finally feels safe, the desperate, pathetic need to search for external signs will instantly evaporate from your mind. Once your nervous system is regulated, once you are no longer a chemical slave to the dopamine hits of angel numbers, you are ready to step into the ultimate psychological posture of the Creator. You are ready to adopt the profound, untouchable arrogance of the finished fact. Neville Goddard taught us that the true state of the wish fulfilled is a state of deep, undisturbed Sabbath. It is a state of complete rest. You cannot rest if you are constantly checking the mirror to see if your reflection has changed. You cannot rest if you are constantly interpreting the behavior of birds and the numbers on license plates. The true master of manifestation is aggressively, unapologetically apathetic to the physical world. I want you to deeply internalize the emotional frequency of the person you are trying to become. The version of you that currently possesses tens of millions of dollars does not care about synchronicities. If the millionaire version of you sees 11:11 on a clock, they do not even register it as a significant event. They just think it is 1 minute before 11:12. They are completely desensitized to the concept of incoming wealth because the wealth has already arrived. It is already sitting in their accounts, generating interest, securing their legacy, and funding their lavish lifestyle. They have moved entirely past the phase of seeking, and they have permanently settled into the phase of operating. You must forcibly drag your consciousness into this exact same state of operations. You must kill the seeker inside of you. The seeker is the identity that reads the manifestation books, watches the videos, does the techniques, and constantly asks the universe if they are doing it right. The seeker is a permanent student who never actually graduates. You must fire the seeker today. You must officially graduate from the school of waiting. When you look out into your physical reality, you must completely withdraw all of your emotional reactions to the things you see. If you see a sign that people say is positive, you remain entirely cold and indifferent. If you see a sign that people say is negative, like an unexpected bill or a financial delay, you remain entirely cold and indifferent. You treat the entire three-dimensional world like a boring, predictable movie that you have already seen 100 times. You know exactly how the movie ends. You know that you are the wealthy victor in the final scene. Therefore, the temporary illusions and the meaningless symbols that flash on the screen during the middle of the movie have absolutely no power to alter your heart rate or shake your unbreakable assumption. You do not need the universe to speak to you because you are the only voice that commands reality. You must understand that in the architecture of the quantum field, two conflicting identities cannot occupy the exact same space. You cannot simultaneously be the desperate seeker looking for a sign from the universe and the wealthy master who already owns the world. One of these identities must absolutely die today for the other to truly live. The seeker is an exhausting, pathetic identity to maintain. The seeker wakes up every single day and asks the physical world for permission to feel wealthy. The seeker negotiates with shadows. But the master, the absolute operant power of reality, does not negotiate with the shadows on the wall. The master knows that the physical world is entirely dead. The three-dimensional reality is nothing but a delayed printout of your past assumptions. When you go to a computer printer and print a document, you do not stare at the piece of paper and ask it to magically change its own text. If you want the text to change, you go back to the computer, you rewrite the document in the digital file, and you simply print it again. Your imagination is the computer, and the physical world is the paper. Searching for signs in the physical world is exactly like staring at a printed piece of paper, begging the dried ink to rearrange itself to tell you a better financial story. It is complete, absolute insanity. You must permanently turn your back on the paper, sit down at the keyboard of your own consciousness, and type the final decree of your massive wealth. There is a massive, hidden danger in the obsession with positive signs that the spiritual community completely ignores. If you surrender your power to the physical world and decide that seeing a repeating number is a positive sign that your money is coming, you have trapped yourself in a deadly logical paradox. If you believe that the physical world has the authority to give you a positive sign, you are automatically forced to believe that the physical world has the authority to give you a negative sign. You cannot have one without the other. This is why you completely spiral into a state of panic when you receive an unexpected bill in the mail or when your bank account suddenly drops. Because you trained your brain to look for positive signs in the mirror, your brain instantly interprets the negative physical event as a sign that your manifestation has failed, that the universe is angry with you, or that you are doing the techniques wrong. You become a total victim of circumstance, completely tossed around by the random events of the day. You are happy when the world smiles at you, and you are devastated when the world frowns at you. Neville Goddard taught us that the true creator is completely indifferent to the smile and the frown of the physical world. The master does not accept positive signs, and therefore the master is completely immune to negative signs. The master has severed all emotional cords to the three-dimensional reality. You must achieve this state of absolute neutrality. When you finally kill the seeker and stop looking for external validation, something incredibly violent and beautiful happens to your physical reality. You completely collapse the timeline. The only thing that is keeping your millions of dollars in the distant future is the fact that you are constantly looking for clues that it is on its way. The act of waiting creates the illusion of time. The act of hoping creates a massive, insurmountable gap between you and your desire. But the exact second you stop waiting, the exact moment you look at the physical world and declare that you do not need a single sign from it because you already possess everything you want in your imagination, you instantly destroy that gap. You completely remove the resistance. You drag the future into the present tense. Without the barrier of your constant seeking, the quantum field has absolutely no choice but to instantly collapse your assumption into a physical fact. The money is forced to materialize in your bank account, the opportunities are forced to hunt you down, and the exact wealth you were begging for is suddenly dropped right into your lap, simply because you finally stopped looking out the window for the delivery truck. The universe only delivers to the person who is already resting comfortably inside the house. So how do you navigate your daily life from this moment forward? What exactly do you do tomorrow when you inevitably see a repeating number on your phone, or when someone brings up the exact amount of money you have been trying to manifest? You are going to experience a radical shift in your emotional baseline. The old version of you would have jumped up and down, feeling a massive rush of dopamine, screaming that the universe is finally talking to you. The new wealthy version of you is going to look at that event with absolute crushing boredom. You're going to look at the synchronicity and feel completely unimpressed. You will look at the repeating numbers and say to yourself, of course the physical world is doing that. It is my mirror. It has absolutely no choice but to reflect my internal state of massive wealth. You do not celebrate the mirror for doing its basic mechanical job. You simply nod your head in cold recognition of your own undeniable power. This arrogant apathy is the ultimate proof that you have achieved the state of the wish fulfilled. It is the absolute silence of the Sabbath that Neville Goddard spoke about. In this profound silence, there is no anxiety. There is no desperate need to check your phone. There is no fear of the future because you have already consumed the future. You have reached the end of the journey. You have reached the absolute peak of this masterclass. I want you to take a deep breath and feel the heavy, exhausting burden of the spiritual community completely falling off your shoulders. You never have to decode another angel number for the rest of your life. You never have to pull another tarot card to see if you are allowed to be rich today. You never have to negotiate with the universe because you are the universe experiencing itself in a physical human body. You are the sole undisputed architect of your entire reality. The birds in the sky are not sending you messages. The numbers on the clock are not winking at you. The physical world is completely dead and silent, waiting for you to issue your command. You have entirely stripped away the pathetic illusions of the beginner, and you have put on the heavy, silent crown of the master. You are entirely free from the agonizing trap of hope. You no longer hope to be wealthy. You simply are wealthy. The millions of dollars in your bank account are an absolute, boring, everyday fact of your existence. If you have listened to this truth, your mind has been permanently elevated. You can never go back to being the desperate seeker, picking up pennies on the street and calling it a cosmic miracle. You know exactly how the machine works. But to permanently lock this new identity into the physical matrix of your reality, you must issue one final, undeniable command. You must draw a permanent, unbreakable boundary between the victim you used to be and the absolute creator you are today. I want you to scroll down to the comments section directly below this video. I want you to type these exact words. Do not type them with excitement. Do not type them as a wish for the future. Type them with the cold, arrogant certainty of a monarch who is stating a simple, boring fact to their kingdom. Type, I do not seek signs. I am the destination. Let the physical movement of your fingers typing those words be the final absolute proof that you have stopped looking for the reflection and you have finally become the source. Make the declaration right now. I do not seek signs. I am the destination. The era of begging is over. Go enjoy the wealth that is already yours.